seventh game you beat is The Thing on Xbox, right?
Yeah, original Xbox.
Is this game a continuation of the 1982 horror sci-fi film The Thing?
In answer to your question, yes, it is. It takes place directly after the events of the John Carpenter movie.
Do you like where the story took you?
I'm glad that it was a video game and not a movie. If it was a movie, I'd kind of be like, this is garbage. Because I thought the ending to The Thing, which we watched recently for Halloween, was perfect. I thought it was such a good ending for such a strange movie. Because they made a video game, that automatically gave them certain privileges that making a movie sequel would not have the rights to. Because it's a video game.
What is unique about this game mechanics?
Not only was it a third-person shooter with squad-based management in it, but you had to manage and be very careful about your squad's mental stability, which I thought was super cool. It was really good, actually, how they implemented it. If you wanted to establish trust in a team member, you had to kill someone who was infected by the Thing, and if you chose wrong, and you actually killed someone who was not infected, your squad would team up and try to kill you. And that was super cool. Like, you'd walk into a room with your teammates, your squad, and if there was a bunch of blood on the walls and on the floor, you had to be like, okay, come out, everyone come out, stand outside, I'm gonna go explore this area, and you guys just wait outside because you guys are having mental problems looking at all this gore. That was fun. Mm-hmm. That was really cool.
What flaws stood out to you while playing?
There was a lot of times where my squad members would die just because the level was so hard, and I ended up just having to play that whole level by myself. And in some ways that was actually easier, but it did kind of take some of the fun out of it. Or for no reason, a teammate that seemed completely fine would turn into the Thing, and I'd lose them. Like, that sucks. It really felt like a loss because it made the game fun.
How are the controls?
Horrible. I don't know what they were thinking, but it seemed like every single assignment for the button on your controller, where it should have been, they chose the exact opposite of it. There's 3 predefined options to choose from, and I ended up going with option 3. For the longest time, I played on option 1. I was like, man, this sucks. And then I switched to option 3, and it made the game easier. It still sucked. It was so counterintuitive. Like, I'm trying to even remember what the controls were because it was so bad. Like, if I was in panic mode, I'd press this button because it felt like that should be my shoot button. And it ended up being my switch my items button, like cycle through your items button. It's just, everything felt wrong. Like, the people who come up with these controls even played video games before.
Did you feel like the game was fair when it came to like boss fights and stuff?
No, but that didn't bother me. A lot of survival horror games are not fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually just trial and error. Like, you run into a boss fight and you almost immediately assumed, I'm going to die. That's just kind of how those games play.
What kind of a gamer would you recommend The Thing to?
People who like survival horror games, specifically old survival horror games. People who aren't picky about how things control. And people who don't feel like that if a game doesn't have a story that should have won an Academy Award, then it should not be played. You know, it was a very ridiculous story, but it was fun. And if you're the kind of person who's like, this is unacceptable for art form, you know, games need to constantly be evolving and becoming more and more like Hollywood blockbuster movies and stuff like that, well, then this is not the game for you. The game was super fun, but it was also super cheesy, and it had all that really bad voice acting that I just love from old school survival horror games. One thing the game actually did really well that I didn't even pay attention to because it had been so long since I had seen the original John Carpenter film. There were so many shots in that movie and scenes that I was like, I remember that from the game. Like, the set pieces in that game were really good.
Yeah, they stayed very loyal to the movie.
That was on PlayStation 2 and Xbox.
So how would you rate The Thing?
I'd give it an 8.1. I think if you like survival horror games, and you like especially old survival horror games, then you'll really enjoy this game. If you have a hard time going to anything pre-Resident Evil 4, you're going to hate this game. But if you enjoy old survival horror games like the old Resident Evil series, this is right up your alley. It's great. It's fantastic.